We can start, Alia.
Respected speakers, dear participants, and my fellow members, a very good evening to everyone. May the peace and the mercy of the Lord be with you all. I am Alia Mariam, applicant member of GIO Jamalia, the convener of today's program, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this session, Building Blocks of Republic. As we celebrate Republic Day, we remember the day when our constitution came into force and India became a true republic. Our constitution gives us rights, duties, and the power to shape our democracy through responsible citizenship and voting. Today's program, Building Blocks of Republic, reminds us that youth awareness, employment, and constitutional values are the pillars of a strong nation. This session is an effort to understand our role in strengthening democracy and contributing positively to our country. To begin with this program, I request Sister Amina Sabah, member of GIO Jamalia Metro, to recite the Qiraat from the Holy Quran. Over to you, Sister Amina.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات سندخلهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا لهم فيها أزواج مطهرة وندخلهم ظلا ظليلا إن الله يأمركم أن تؤدوا الأمانات إلى أهلها وإذا حكمتم بين الناس أن تحكموا بالعدل إن الله نعم ما يعظكم به إن الله كان سميعا بصيرا يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا. Translation. But those who believe and do righteous deeds, we will admit them to gardens beneath which river flows, wherein they abide forever. For them, therein all purified spouses, and we will admit them to deepening shade. Indeed, Allah commands you to render trust to whom they are due, and when you judge between people, to judge with justice. Excellent is that which Allah instructs you. Indeed, Allah is all hearing and all seeing. O you who believe, obey Allah and obey the Messenger and those in authority among you. And if you disagree over anything, refer it to Allah and the Messenger. If you should believe in Allah on the last day, that is the best way and best in result. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Amina, for the beautiful Qiraat recitation. Now, I invite Sister Afrida, ZAC member of GIO Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, to deliver the welcome address and introduce our esteemed speakers. Sister Afrida, please proceed.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace be upon you all. A very glad good evening to everyone present here and those joining us in YouTube live also. On behalf of Jamaat Islami Hind, Ladies Metro, Ladies Wing Chennai Metro and Girls Islamic Organization Chennai Metro, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to today's program, Building Blocks of the Republic. We are truly honored by your presence this evening as we come together to reflect on the values, responsibilities, and foundations that strengthen our nation. We are here to hear from four esteemed speakers. I extend a special welcome to all our esteemed speakers, our guests, and all the participants who have taken your time today among your busy schedule to be with us here today. In a democracy as vibrant and diverse as ours, the role of informed citizens, especially the youth, educators, and the community leaders, it is very crucial. Today's program aims to explore key aspects of our republic, from empowering young voters and understanding employment challenges to appreciating the strength of our constitution and the journey from crisis to recovery. I'm privileged to introduce our speakers. Our first speaker, Ms. Radhika Ganesh. She is a cultural political activist with 15 years of experience across human rights movements and a feminist campaign in the Indian subcontinent. She's also the co-founder of Ek Potli Redki, which is India's pioneering grassroots cultural justice movement. She works to build restorative justice interventions, truth telling processes, and ethical documentation frameworks that protect cultural memory and place marginalized communities at the center of policy discourses. Her work extends internationally through cultural leadership engagements with indigenous and nomadic communities across Australia, Southeast Asia, and Europe, foregrounding lived knowledge systems in justice practice. She is an alumna of IVLP. She is also the co-founder of Young People for Politics, through which she leads work on youth engagement and leadership development grounded in constitutional and democratic literacy. Ma'am, we are happy to have you. Second speaker of today's session, Dr. Sultana. She is an assistant professor from Justice Bashir Said Ahmed College, Chennai. She has her PhD in economics and she has an experience of over 10 years. She's also been the IQAC member in Jabez College since 2022. She's also published and presented many national and international research papers in journals and books. Third speaker of the day, Ms. Arokya Anbarahi. I'm very much delighted and happy at the same time because she is my professor. During my UG, she was my professor. And personally speaking, I write chapters for books and I present papers and all. The grassroots, the foundation was led by Arakya ma'am, and I must say that here. About her, uh, she's an assistant professor in Women's Christian College, Chennai, Department of History, and she has an MPhil in history. She has also published many books. She's authored and co-edited books also. She has also published many chapters in books, and she has presented various papers in national and international conferences. She has also taken a research project under the title Preserving Indian Knowledge Systems in the Handicrafts of Pondicherry. She has also did a WCC seed grant sponsored project on impact of tourism on the fishing community at Mamalpuram Post and impact of human rights education in city colleges of Chennai. Our fourth speaker of the day, Mrs. Rahila Noman. She is the secretary of Jamaat-e-Islami Hind Ladies Wing of Chennai Metro, and she's also one of the trustees of Goodword Public School, Chennai. She's also the treasurer of Hidayah Alima College for Women and also the treasurer of an NGO named Women's Redeemed Reform Society. To all the four speakers, a very warm welcome to you all on behalf of the two organizations. And to our audience also who are watching us through live, a warm welcome to you all. And without taking much of your valuable time, we will move forward with the sessions. Over to Alia.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Afrida, for the warm welcome. Now, for our first session, I would like to invite Ms. Radhika Ganesh, cultural political activist, to deliver her talk on empowering youth voters, the key to strong nation. We warmly welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Vanakkam, Zindabad, and Jai Bhim to all of you. Thank you for this warm invitation. I'm delighted to be part of this August gathering, especially a gathering of such incredible women. In today's world, I think, where consistently spaces are shrinking for not just democratic thought and action, but also for all of us to just gather and be in the presence of each other. These two incredible organizations continue to persist and preserve these spaces, and I'm very grateful to be a part of them. So, talking about young people and their role in a democracy and how to empower them in an electoral democracy, I was just thinking about it, and honestly, do I have much to empower young people, or today in this world, will I lean on young people to empower me and people like myself? Why I say this is we live in very difficult times, right? Consistently, people who stand for progressive values, unity, diversity, strengthening belief, those of us who stand for these values consistently face violences of different kinds. And in that sort of a circumstance, I wish to believe, and I know for a fact, that young people and the idealism that young people espouse is probably the most empowering tool. I say this because as we grow up in life, I think we all become a bit more cautious. We understand threat and fear more. We think twice before we speak. Whereas young people and their idealism is fairly fearless. And to me, that fearlessness can be extremely empowering in today's world. In India, as we celebrate this beautiful republic and all the diversities of this wonderful republic, I cannot help but wonder what it would mean for us to just take a step back and see how young people have played a role in building this republic. The history of young people's participation in getting us independence is pretty well documented. Some of the most popular young people say Bhagat Singh, right? He was a young Jawan, as they would say, and his contribution to this nation and the freedoms that we got, immeasurable. But in recent times, I think India has consistently seen young people leading the way towards questioning injustices and constantly demanding that our nation upholds constitutional values to the highest levels. Having said that, I think Tamil Nadu is currently at a critical juncture. We are in an election year, and just watching young people on the streets gathering and celebrating, various political outfits, it makes me both happy as well as a little cautious. Because on the one hand, young people and their idealism can empower us, encourage us, and give us much needed hope. And on the other hand, sometimes this idealism can cross over into a certain sense of euphoria, right? And in times when we are flooded with propaganda, we're flooded with false news, we're flooded with fake news. That state of euphoria can be very dangerous. And I would like to invite young people of Tamil Nadu to access their own abilities of critical thinking, to make choices that will continue to uphold important constitutional values. Today in the afternoon, I was speaking at a school in Chennai to about 140 young people, all of them at the cusp of becoming first-time voters, 17 years, 16 years old, thinking of what it means to be young and a part of democracy. And we together explored the Constitution of India. Of course, we wouldn't be able to explore the entirety of it, but just the first page, the preamble to the Constitution of India alone, can stand as an unshakable reminder of the values upon which this republic was built. The words that are enshrined in that single page, if remembered on a day-to-day basis, can help us overcome the divisive politics that is today at play and strengthen our value systems to such an extent. We must never forget that we are a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. And these 5 words mean that we are a country not just for some, we are a country for all. We are a country built on the strengths of what it means to be diverse by caste, by religion, by gender, and multitudes of other identities. And reading further from that, concepts of equality, justice, liberty, fraternity, these are all ideas that are already enshrined in the singular document that must become the crux of how we live our life in this country. And that document ensures that our freedoms, whether it's freedom of thought, freedom of belief, freedom of faith, freedom of practice of cultures, all of these freedoms very concretely convert into accessible liberties. As someone who was part of many youth movements, both during, in my 20s and my early 30s, I have seen how India treats its young people. It has always been forgiving towards our mistakes, very nurturing towards our politics, and protective towards our liberties. But is that the India we live in today? I'm not sure. Actually, I know we don't. There is fear, there is divisiveness, and there is hate that we need to conquer. And I think these are forums in which, we are all coming together from such diverse identities. And the one thing that I know for sure is this is made possible by just love and kindness. So if I had to tell young people, empower yourselves because you empower me, the only way to go about doing that now is to overcome these differences and love each other. Going forward, I believe that young people must assert the value systems that we have been given. So, and these value systems are not new. We don't have to construct anything new. As I said, it's already enshrined in our documents. All we need to do is remind ourselves of that. And the way to then push for those value systems to be realized is to collectivize. And that's why these sort of platforms really matter. Because 10 years ago in India, I could walk into any school, any college, and speak openly and say, hey, young people, do you want to come and be part of something that is going to drive change? Today, those kinds of engagements, opportunities to mobilize, opportunities to collectivize and collectively educate ourselves, then organize and then agitate, have drastically shrunk and reduced. And in that sense, these forums and these platforms that you are all creating is extremely critical. I also believe that Tamil Nadu is at the forefront of showing this entire nation what it means to continue to believe and hold dear these values. As someone who travels extensively across the subcontinent, I was even recently, I was in Kashmir, and then I was in Rajasthan, in Delhi, in Madhya Pradesh, and then I've just come back to Tamil Nadu, come back home to Tamil Nadu. And I can say with a lot of pride that in almost every human development indices, we are 20 years, 30 years ahead of rest of the country. If you see education, if you see healthcare, if you look at food security, these are all bare basics for human beings to live with dignity. And somehow Tamil Nadu is in the forefront of championing these basic entitlements and rights. And a step further than that, Tamil Nadu is also putting up the only viable resistance to divisive forces. And as young people, there is a cardinal, well, I don't consider myself young anymore, but for those who are, who wish to protect these, the core values that we stand for, I think this, over the next couple of months, the decisions and the choices that you make will make or break us, our state. For those who continue to say we need change, yes, change is a constant, but change from what, change to what, are two critical questions that we must consistently ask and answer. I think, if I look at public school systems, when I travel elsewhere and I come back and I see public schools in, say, Bihar or UP or Rajasthan, and then I come to public school systems in Tamil Nadu, or I go to a primary healthcare center in one of those states, and then I come back to Tamil Nadu, and then I lived for many years in a village near Kadalur, and the PHC there, the primary healthcare center there, was as good as a decent hospital. And beyond all of this, the space to build critical thinking, the space to build dissent, questioning mindset, and the ability to openly debate, disagree, and move forward from there are all very, very important to a functional democracy. And I can tell you with a lot of authority that exists in entirety only in Tamil Nadu today, in this entire continent. It breaks my heart because the values, as I said, we are built on, have steadily degraded over the past decade and a half. But we cannot lose hope. Hope, and as I said, hope in our young people and their ability to idealistically envision change and their consistent effort to make their own lives and hence the lives of others surrounding them better can definitely pull us out of the situations that we've gotten ourselves into. Not just in India today, world over, whether it's Bangladesh, whether it's Nepal, whether it's Pakistan, whether it's the US, whether it's UK, whether it's Greenland right now, we see the participation of young people as one of the most critical elements. Let us take the genocide in Gaza, right? And if not for young people, even, especially young people using social media and other tools that are modern, whether it's AI and, other tools that you have access to, if not for young people, we would not have the kind of information inflow that we had to be able to collectively raise our voices and demand humanity persists. So I want to continue to encourage young people, though those of us like me keep complaining that there are shrinking spaces. I think I will also place a lot of trust in your ability to think creatively, act consistently, and commit to our core constitutional values. I want to conclude by urging all of you to exercise your critical thinking, to think about what direction we want to take our state and our nation in going forward. Never doubt the strength that young people possess, especially, as Dr. Ambedkar said, when you educate, organize, and agitate. Thank you for this opportunity. My best wishes to all of you. Vanakkam and Zindabad.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insightful and inspiring words. We truly appreciate your valuable thoughts. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Sultana, Assistant Professor, to speak on From Crisis to Recovery, Indian Employment in the World's Largest Democracy. I request you, ma'am, to kindly take over the session.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Respected moderators, distinguished panelists, and dear participants. Assalamu alaikum and good evening to one and all present here. I am delighted to see the participants logging in from different places, backgrounds, and experiences, all connected by one shared concern, the future of employment in India. Thank you for being part of this live webinar on the topic Crisis to Recovery, Indian Employment in the World's Largest Democracy. In a country like India, young, diverse, and democratic, employment is not just about jobs. It is about opportunity, dignity, and inclusion. When employment is strong, democracy feels strong. When it weakens, its impact is felt far beyond the workplace. Over the last few years, India's employment landscape has experienced profound disruption. Crises have tested resilience, exposed inequalities, and forced difficult questions. Yet, they have also revealed adaptability, innovation, and the strength of people who continue to work, rebuild, and hope. This webinar is an attempt to reflect on that journey from shock to resilience, from uncertainty to possibility. Today, we will explore how the crisis phase reshaped Indian employment, the ongoing challenges and recovery, the signs of resilience that point toward a more inclusive future of work, and an Islamic perspective on employment and economic justice. We encourage you to stay engaged, reflect, and participate in this webinar. Once again, I welcome you all to the session. What does employment truly mean in democracy? It is more than earning a living. It is about dignity. It is about voice. It is about belonging. In a democracy, the right to vote gives citizens a voice, but employment gives that voice that confidence. A person who has work has stability. A person who has stability can participate. And a society where people participate is a society where democracy survives. When employment weakens, democracy doesn't collapse overnight. It slowly erodes. Employment is the invisible thread that holds everything together. It connects the farmer to the market, the worker to the city, the youth to the future, and the family to its sense of security. When that thread breaks, the damage is not only economic, it is emotional, social, and deeply political. For millions of Indians, employment is not about ambition or luxury. It is about food on the table, education for children, healthcare for parents, and dignity in everyday life. To lose work is not just to lose income, it is to lose certainty, self worth, and trust in the system. A democracy cannot thrive when its people live in constant fear of unemployment because fear silences voices, fear discourages participation, fear weakens faith in the institutions, and when faith weakens, democracy begins to hollow from within. Employment, therefore, is not just an economic outcome. It is a democratic promise, a promise that growth will include people and that every citizen will have a stake in the nation's future. As we begin this discussion today on crisis, shocks, resilience, and recovery, let us remember this. The strength of Indian democracy will ultimately be judged not by how fast the economy grows, but by how securely its people work. Over the last few years, India's workforce has faced one crisis after another. Think back to the pandemic. Overnight, cities went silent, construction sites shut down, markets closed, and suddenly millions of migrant workers, the invisible backbone of India, were walking hundreds of kilometers back to their villages. No offices, no trains, no certainty. That moment exposed just how fragile employment can be when growth is uneven and safety nets are thin. But the crisis didn't start there. Even before COVID, young graduates were asking a painful question. We have degrees, but where are the jobs? A college student with an engineering degree driving a taxi. A master's graduate preparing endlessly for competitive exams because formal jobs were scarce. Employment wasn't disappearing, it was changing faster than our systems could keep up. Then came recovery. Not a dramatic overnight came back, but a slow, uneven rebuilding. We saw construction sites reopen, powered by infrastructure spending, roads, railways, and housing projects brought back daily wage work. Manufacturing began to regain momentum, especially in electronics and mobile assembly. The government pushed production incentives, and global companies started looking at India not just as a market, but as a factory. At the same time, something interesting happened at the grassroots. Street vendors returned, this time with QR codes. Small shop owners learned digital payments. A vegetable seller who once dealt with only cash now accepts UPI from a smartphone. The gig economy exploded. Delivery riders, rideshare drivers, freelance designers, online tutors, etc. These aren't traditional jobs, but they are livelihoods, and for many, a first step into the formal economy. Yet, let's be honest, this recovery is not the same for everyone. A tech worker in Bengaluru experiences recovery very differently from a construction worker in Bihar. So, the real question is not, are jobs coming back? It's like, what kind of jobs are we building? From crisis to recovery, the journey is unfinished. But the direction we choose now will decide whether India's growth story becomes a job story or just another headline. Despite the severity of the crisis, India has shown a notable resilience, economic reopening, and job creation. As restrictions eased, construction, manufacturing, and services gradually rebounded. Infrastructure spending created employment opportunities. MSMEs began to recover with credit support and digitization. Digital transformation. One major shift has been the digitalization of work, growth of platform and gig employment, expansion of fintech, e-commerce, and remote services, increased formalization through digital payments and registration systems. While this has created new opportunities, it has also raised concerns about job security and workers' rights. Rural employment and social safety nets. Programs like rural employment guarantees acted as buffers during crisis periods, providing income support, asset creation, measure of dignity through work. These interventions highlight the importance of state responsibility in times of distress. One of the biggest ongoing challenges in this recovery phase is jobless growth. With GDP numbers have improved, employment generation has not kept pace. Many sectors are growing through automation, cost cutting, and contract labor rather than through stable job creation. As a result, millions, especially young graduates, remain unemployed or pushed into informal and insecure work. This creates a silent crisis beneath the surface of recovery. A second major challenge is the quality of jobs. Even where jobs are created, they are often low paying, temporary, or without social security. The informal sector still absorbs the majority of Indians' workforce with little protection against economic shocks. Another serious concern in the recovery phase is youth unemployment. India has one of the youngest populations in the world, yet many young people face a mismatch between education and employable skills. Degrees do not guarantee jobs, and frustration among educated youth continues to grow. If this demographic energy is not productively absorbed, the recovery risk will turn into long term social and economic instability. We must also talk about inequality in the recovery. Women's participation in the workforce, in particular, remains alarmingly low. Despite economic recovery claims, a recovery that leaves behind large sections of society cannot be called inclusive, and this inclusion is not the real test of democracy. Finally, there is a challenge of policy implementation. India has strong employment oriented policies and schemes, but gaps between these policy design and ground level execution continue to limit impact. Recovery requires not just announcements, but accountability, monitoring, and local level adaptation. So, as we move from crisis toward recovery, we must ask ourselves, what kind of recovery do we want? One that looks successful in reports, or one that restores dignity, stability, and opportunity to working people. At this point, it is important to reflect on employment not only as an economic issue, but as a moral and ethical responsibility, a perspective deeply rooted in Islam. Work as a form of worship. In Islam, work is an act of dignity and worship. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "No one has ever eaten a better meal than that which he has earned by working with his own hands." So, employment is not a charity, it is an honor. Justice and fair wages. Islam places strong emphasis on economic justice. Workers must be paid fairly and promptly. Exploitation, uncertainty, and hoarding of wealth are condemned. The Prophet, peace be upon him, warned, "Give the worker his wages before his sweat dries." This principle is highly relevant in today's gig economy, where many workers lack stability and protection. Responsibility of the state and society. Islam envisions a society where the vulnerable are protected. The state ensures basic needs, wealth circulates and does not remain concentrated. The concept of zakat, sadaqah, and social responsibility reminds us that economic recovery must be inclusive, not elite driven. Human dignity above profit. The Quran affirms, "We have certainly honored the children of Adam." Employment policies, therefore, must uphold human dignity, not treat labor as a disposable commodity. India's journey from crisis to recovery in employment offers more than economic insights. It offers powerful lessons for the failure of a democracy. In the world's largest democratic nation, employment is not merely about livelihoods. It reflects how inclusive, responsive, and compassionate our democracy truly is. The first lesson is that economic democracy security strengthens. When people have stable employment, they are empowered to participate meaningfully in democratic life. Job insecurity, on the other hand, breeds frustration, inequality, and social unrest. A democratic future must therefore prioritize employment as a fundamental pillar of national stability. The second lesson lies in the importance of inclusive growth. The employment crisis revealed deep inequalities between rural and urban workers, men and women, formal and informal sectors. India's democratic future depends on bridging these gaps. Recovery must reach farmers, migrant workers, women, and youth, ensuring that no voice is ignored and no worker is left behind. Third, the crisis has taught us the value of responsive governance. Policies that listen to people, adapt to realities, and act swiftly can protect livelihoods in times of uncertainty. A strong democracy is one that responds not only during elections but during emergencies when citizens need support the most. Another vital lesson is the need to invest in skills and opportunities for the youth. India's demographic strength can become a democratic dividend only if young people are given meaningful employment and hope for the future. Without opportunity, demographic advantage risks turning into democratic disillusionment. Finally, the greatest lesson for India's democratic future is that recovery must be humane. Economic growth must be guided by empathy, justice, and dignity of labor. When workers feel valued, democracy earns trust. When employment policies protect the vulnerable, democracy proves its purpose. As India moves forward from crisis to recovery, these lessons must guide our path. As we come to the close of this session, I hope one thing has become very clear to everyone. Recovery is not the end of the journey, it is only the beginning. Signs of recovery are visible. Jobs are returning, new forms of work are emerging, and resilience is evident across sectors. But recovery alone is not enough. If recovery means returning to the same fragile systems, the same inequalities, and the same insecurities, then we are repeating the crisis. What India now needs is renewal. Renewal of how we value work, renewal of how we protect the workers, renewal of how growth translates into dignity and opportunity. In the world's largest democracy, employment cannot be treated as a byproduct of growth. It must be a central promise of democracy itself. From crisis, we learned. Through recovery, we adapted. Now, towards renewal, we must act. The strength of India's employment story will not be measured only by how fast we recover, but how deeply we renew. Let us carry forward today's message, not just as an academic exercise, but as a shared responsibility. Thank you for all your time, attention, and your engagement. Let this not be the end of the discussion, but the beginning of change. I thank Mrs. Rahila Nauman and other members, Jamaat Islami Hind Ladies Wing, Chennai Metro, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you once again.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Sultana ma'am, for your enlightening and informative session. It was
Thank you.
truly inspiring. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Arokya Anbaragi, Assistant Professor, to address us on India's Constitution, the foundation of our republic. We welcome you, ma'am. Please proceed.
Thank you. So am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
All right. So, right. First, before I start, I would like to, thank the organizers for having me with you today. Especially, I would like to thank Afrida for inviting me. Thank you, Afrida. It's an honor to be part, and it's a pleasure to, to see you once again. So, my topic, which I am trying to, I'm going to focus today is the Indian Constitution, which is the foundation and the soul of our republic. So when we are going to, we just celebrated our Republic Day, and everybody's talking about the Indian Constitution. And when we think of the Constitution, we think of that hardbound book and a legal document. But today we are going to reflect on how the Indian Constitution is more than a legal document, how it's actually a living promise. Not just like a cloud or a blanket promise, but more specifically to women and the marginalized communities, and also the youth, the young citizens, and at a time where the current scenarios that democracy itself demands vigilance and participation. So we are going to look at how Constitution can be seen as a living document. So I think we all know about the history of the Indian Constitution, which came into force on 26 January 1950. And before that, we have the Constituent Assembly, where, who were responsible in framing out our, the longest written constitution, as we all call our constitution to be. So we cannot talk about the Indian Constitution, ignoring or, even sidelining the great Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, isn't it? So he played the key role in framing the Constitution. And he made, I'm not using his exact, I'm not quoting him, but what he said was that the Constitution works well. It would work well only if the people who follow it are responsible. So this idea, this this thought that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar put forward is very, very relevant today. Right? We see this when at all times where constitutional issues become part of everyday life, people discuss whether our courts are independent, whether they have autonomy, whether there is fairness in elections, right? So there's a lot of questions, there are a lot of debates that are there. So when citizens question and debate these issues, right, it shows that they care about the Constitution, and we use it to demand accountability from those who are in power. So Constitution is actually an aftermath of the colonial rule, not just the colonial rule, but also the other issues that we were under: poverty, inequality, social discrimination, economic discrimination. So the Constitution was aimed to change the Indian society by bringing justice, liberty, equality, right? And whenever we hear these words, we think, oh yeah, it's there, out there in the paper. But these are not just decorative words, right? These are strong moral promises that we are entitled to have. And today, democracy is being shaped by, I think, many of you would agree, some of you would not agree, but our democracy is being shaped by technology. It's shaped by social media. At the same time, the institution is often tested, right? So when we look at the base, the foundation of the Constitution, it's the preamble. So when we added these adjectives to the preamble, we have sovereign, we have socialist, we have secular, we have democratic, we have republic. So all these words, right, it gives us some promise, right? Especially for us women, it promises, this preamble promises us equal status, equal opportunity, and that it keeps on reminding us that freedom. I think Sudha ma'am also, she emphasized on that freedom is incomplete without social and economic justice. So when on one side we have, women are reaching the space, we are everywhere, and they say, oh, you've also reached the space, right? So preamble not just supports our dreams, right, the dreams of women, but we need to be aware that the preamble also supports our struggles. It forces us to think very deeply. What should we think about? Are women safe in their houses, in their workspaces, in their educational institutions? Are they safe in public spaces, right? Do we, even when we are safe, when we are part of something, we have, a desk, and we have, a position, but do we have equal voice in decision making? Do women from all classes, all castes, all regions, be it urban, rural, suburban, do we all get equal opportunities? That is what the preamble promises. So it forces us to think whether we have, achieved all this. I think the recent turn of events, I think everybody is talking about it. We have seen the videos supporting, we have seen the videos criticizing, accusing, right, the Kerala incident. It makes us question, right, the safety of women once again. It's not just all these issues cannot be looked at in just one perspective, right? So these questions should be part of our daily reality. Even though law, through the constitution promises equality, many women still face violence. And when they voice out their violence, when they voice out their pain, they are made to feel insecure. Right, we have seen a series of unfortunate and heartbreaking violence incidents that were even it happened even in Tamil Nadu. But then it's it shows that on one side you have all these groups, they demand better, safer environment. They demand quicker justice, and also they demand accountability. So these incidents, these protests, they constantly remind us that human dignity, all right, must be protected in everyday life. It's not something that is there in the law book. It's not something that, oh yes, we say the Constitution promises us, and it is promising us. So this is what we need to remind ourselves. We need to go back to the Constitution, because that is the soul of our republic. And the next thing that we need to understand and be aware are the fundamental rights. Part 3 of the Constitution, right? These fundamental rights, it's more focused on women and the marginalized, the minorities. Article 14 guarantees equality before law, right? So under the Indian Republic, we are all equal. So that is what Article 4 guarantees us. And Article 15, right, it bans discrimination based on whatever you kind of put up, whether it's based on religion, whether it's based on caste, sex, or the place of birth. So it is a promise that the Constitution is giving us, and we have every right to demand it. And Article 15, Section 3 allows the government to make special laws for women and children. And also Article 16 ensures equal opportunity in government jobs. Then obviously we have Article 21, which guarantees the right to life and personal freedom. So courts have expanded this right to include dignity. They have included privacy. They have included health, education, and also safe environment. And in this digital era, right, and in this digital age, when we are almost well into the AI age, Article 21 becomes very, very important, right? Because this privacy is given to us, it's promised to us as a fundamental right. This is crucial because personal data, online activity are on a day-to-day basis, they are misused. So many women, women who are young students, who are journalists, public figures, even when they are actually on social media talking about their rights, they have undergone this. They have been subjected, they have been victims of online abuse, of cyber harassment. This shows that dignity must not be protected, all right, not only in real in physical public spaces, but also on digital spaces. So we have our rights in law, right? But what about reality? That is where we need to think, we have to contemplate. So having rights written in the Constitution, it's not enough. These rights must be felt by every woman, every marginalized, every child in real life, right? Most of these women population who are in the rural areas, who are in unorganized sector, who are in informal jobs, who are single mothers, who are in dysfunctional families, who belong to the minority communities, they still struggle to enjoy these rights. Though it's there on paper, it's there in that bound book, but does it reach them? They're not able to access these rights. This problems, it is very, very clear. And I think I would say that it's become more in the recent years, and adding on to the economic crisis. So many migrant women workers, not just migrant women from the other states, because whenever we say migrant workers, we automatically think from people from the other states, but including Tamil Nadu, people from the other suburban areas and rural areas, how they move, right? So they have suddenly lost their jobs. And because most of them are unrecognized, they are in unorganized sector, they do not have any social security. So such situations constantly should remind us of how easily vulnerable these people are to lose their rights, their economic right, the right to live, the right to dignity. It's all lost. So this highlights the need for a fair governance, not just fair, a more inclusive governance. And that is where your directive principles come into play. So these directive principles are guide to social justice. So these directive principles of state policy guides the governments in making laws and policies. Though they're not, they cannot be enforced in courts, but they are the moral responsibility of the states. So principles like equal pay for equal work, maternity benefits, in humane working conditions, access to education. So all these are very, very important for women. So many women who work in the informal and the gig economy, especially the domestic workers, the garment, the sector workers, the delivery partners. Today we have a lot of women also being delivery partners. They contribute greatly to economy, but they lack job security. They lack recognition. They do not have healthcare privileges. They do not have maternity benefits. So the directive principles, they should remind us and the government that economic growth should not happen at the cost of human dignity. So policies on childcare, health, nutrition, skills, financial access, right, inclusivity and digital access, all these should be seen as the duties of the government, not as a favor that they are doing to, for these people. So when women progress, democracy becomes stronger. So the Indian Constitution was very progressive, when we became independent and a republic, because instantly it gave voting rights to all adults, unlike any other country. We did not fight for our voting rights. And along with that, women also, right, got voting rights. So we did not wait for decades to vote, right? Later reforms strengthened women's political participation. We have the 73rd and the 74th constitutional amendments. It reserved 1/3 of the seats for women in local governments. So in Tamil Nadu, I think women are more at the local level, and it has this had led to improved access to water, education, nutrition, and healthcare. But when it comes to the parliament, the state assemblies, women are still underrepresented. So women's reservation is very, very important, because real empowerment of women will also mean safety, education, financial independence, and digital skills for all, because women are obviously better in governance. So as we moving to my other closure. So today, how is it in the current scenario, right? We face a lot of problems especially in digital era. We have online hate, we have social division, we have a lot of fake news, WhatsApp University, right? And the lack of trust in institutions, right? We also face problems of stereotypes and unequal access to technology, right? So these are combated by constitution, because constitution helps us to deal with these challenges by balancing freedom of speech with dignity, promoting secularism based on respect, and also it helps us to uphold the rule of law. And going back to again Dr. Ambedkar, he believed that fraternity was essential for democracy. Without it, he said that liberty and equality would lose their meaning, right? And so, what is the role of the citizens, right? Especially young voters, as the first speaker was also talking about, Radhika Ganesh, right? So in today's divided society, fraternity means standing together across differences, all kinds of differences. I think differences keep adding on in the current scenario, and every section, every government adds on to the list of differences that we have. We have religion, language, region, gender, caste, class, everything, right? In Tamil Nadu, we have these communes, right? We have these self-help groups, we have social groups, we have community organizations, right? So these also help by showcasing the spirit of social harmony. And Tamil Nadu is the forerunner and the leader of social justice. And that really works along with our Indian Constitution. And I think we should feel proud to be in such a state that, where we have the concept of social justice being the fuel for the government. And so what do we do as citizens, right? We should protect the Constitution, because the Constitution is the only thing that is going to protect us. So Article 51A lists fundamental duties, right? As we should respect our Constitution, we should promote harmony, we should reject practices, all kind of activities and practices that harm the dignity of women, and also we should promote scientific thinking. So being responsible citizens also means questioning anything, anybody, or any group that is posing a threat to our Constitution, because this is the only way. The Constitution, only thing that's going to empower us, is going to protect us. So for women, citizenship is not passive. It is not passive at all. It is very active. This citizenship that we have is very powerful, and it is transformative. So as I conclude, I want to tell the young voters, that your vote is not merely a mark, just a press on the machine. It's the voice of the Constitution. It carries the struggles of women who were all there before us, who were denied of education, who were denied of dignity, who were denied of decision-making power. So when we vote, when you young voters, when you go to vote, you should honor their courage, and you should assert your rightful place in the Republic. So the Constitution does not see women as weak. It does not look at us as dependent. It recognizes us as equal citizens, as an individual who's capable of reason, of choice, and more than that, it identifies us as an individual with leadership quality. So democracy weakens when women withdraw. So if we want to have this soul of the Republic staying strong, we should engage. We should engage. So question authority, demand accountability, vote out of your conviction. not out of fear, not out of just some craze over some celebrity or a party. No, vote because Constitution empowers you to choose. So I answering to or adding on to what Radhika was saying, change from what to change to what, right? Change from a democracy where Constitution remains symbolic, where and unequal in practice, especially for women and the marginalized groups. Change from there to change to a living constitution where equality, dignity, and safety are experienced in everyday social, economic, political, and digital spaces. And also change from passive citizenship to unchecked power to informed, vigilant citizens holding any oppressive authority or any government for that matter accountable. From there, change to participatory republic, where women's voices, votes, and leadership actively strengthen democracy. So I thank the organizers once again, and I hope that all of us will renew our commitment to the Constitution, not just in words, but through actions. So let us build a republic that is strong and founded or stepping strong on the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your valuable and thought-provoking address. It was really enlightening. Now, for the concluding keynote address, I would like to invite Mrs. Rahila Noman, Secretary, JIH Ladies Wing, Chennai Metro, to share her valuable thoughts with us. I request you, ma'am, to kindly take over the session.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All praises are due to the Almighty, the most merciful, the most kind, the creator, the provider, the sustainer, and the protector. His mercy is a blessings upon His mercy is evident in our very existence. May he shower his blessings upon the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as he showered his mercy upon Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him. May his blessings and mercy be upon one and all present here. I would like to welcome you all this evening with a very good evening. Respected dignitaries, lovely young girls running the show, and all the viewers, I would like to welcome you all a hearty welcome. Today we focus on two important days of our democratic journey: the Constitutional Day and the National Voters' Day. The Constitution Day, observed on the 26th November, marks the adoption of the Indian Constitution in 1949, which came into force on the 26th January 1950. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. What does it define? It defines the powers of the government, the rights and duties of citizens, and the framework of our democracy. The Indian Constitution is one of the longest written constitution in the world. Yet it was drafted in less than 3 years, reflecting the dedication of its framers. I would like to highlight the preamble, which begins with the powerful words, "We, the people of India," capturing the spirit of collective responsibility. As we all know, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is the chief architect of the Constitution. The crucial contribution of Sir B.N. Rao, the chief constitution advisor, must also be remembered for shaping its legal foundation beyond colonial influence. India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. The Constitution upholds justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, and establishes India as a union state with a parliamentary system. I would like to highlight that we've been hearing a lot of words of integrity, equality, fraternity, and so on. Definitely, we do know the importance of such words, but we see it all in the writing in the papers. As Radhika ma'am said, do we really see it in action? Here, the critical thinking comes. She says that the new voters' feelings, she discussed how she felt, how she discussed, and how the people, the young children, not knowing what the real constitution is, and their enthusiasm to enter into as a new voter. The freedom of speech exists, the freedom of thought is there, the freedom of religion is there. It's all these freedom shows the beauty of our nation, shows the fraternity and the integrity of our nation. But is it the same India that we used to live in? Was her question. And she also gave the answer telling, yes, we all know what it is. The words are enshrined in the preamble. It's only that we need to remind ourselves and to understand it better. As we all heard, she was focusing and telling that Tamil Nadu is in the forefront to continue in the empowerment as well as in the following of the constitution to an extent. So even though it is shrinking the thought of, you say, the shrinking of the practicality, but still she gave a very strong point that we still need to trust in the youth today. As we are all 20 years ahead of of other countries, and Tamil Nadu is championing it, and it is only putting the resistance compared to others. So we need to change. Change for what? Change from what? And change to what? The values we build, we have to strongly, the values which we build, we have to build it strongly and steadily, which has been going down slowly. We need to rebuild it. We need to reconstruct it. Now, our hope is in the youth who will make their own lives responsible as well as their surroundings too. The trust is an act of commitment. So you think critical thinking is very important, and nevertheless, the young people's strength is uncomparable. Over to Ma'am Sultana Ma'am. Her topic was crisis and recovery. She had given a lot of points where she says that today's graduates are not having proper jobs. So even if the job is available, what is the kind of job which is available? The economy which is reopening after the COVID, has it really given the rightful to the right person? There are no stable jobs. The youth are being pushed into insecurity and they are not given their right jobs which they deserve. The jobs which are low paid and low profile and low social security is coming under a threat for the youth. So there is a challenge in the policy and the implementation. The crisis to recovery. What is it that we want? We need to be clear. What is it that we want to do? Is it something which we want it on the papers or something which we want to do with dignity and respect? The work is a form of worship. It's an act of dignity. Very well said by Sultana Ma'am that employment is not a charity, it's an honor. And she also highlighted that in Islam, economy should be distributed and not to be running among only the elite. The Indians' journey for crisis to recovery, she highlighted that how it should be inclusive, sincerity, and it should, all these qualities, it strengthens and upholds the democratic value. Coming to the next point, which she highlighted, is that she also said that no voice is left. We need to see that no voice is left unattended or left behind. The strong recovery is not only about during elections. There's a very strong point which she said. It's not only about during elections, but the economic strength should become the economic dividend. The renewal of growth and work should be included along with humanity and empathy. India needs renewal. Over to Arokya ma'am. As she said, that this is one of the longest constitution and it's a legal document. But she also said it's more than a legal document. The constitution is not only more than a legal document, but it's a living promise. The constitution works well only if the people following it practice it well. As we heard, a lot of words like justice, equality, and democratic words, these are all used in the preamble. But on our democracy is often tested with adjectives which are added to the preamble. Freedom is incomplete without social and economic justice. Now, when coming over to this, she also highlighted that are women safe at home? Are the workspace safe and secure? Or even if she's safe at a public area? So we do not, and if such a case, then do we have an equal opportunity to, or make a, do we have an equal voice in making decision making? Do the different class and caste, do we all get the same opportunity? So what is the safety and security, especially among the women? And in case we voice out, then we are suppressed. So the human dignity is only mentioned in the papers, but now it is time that we bring it true. The fundamental rights, according to the fundamental rights of 3, is more focused on the women. She highlighted on the Articles of 14, which is the guarantees us of the equality, Article 15, which bans the discrimination, and the Article 16, which gives the opportunity in government jobs, right to life, and social freedom. And in the AI age, we also have the Article 21, which is promising about the privacy. But sadly, we see all these on the papers. How much can we bring it into our living? Is it really possible? Definitely. These constitutional values strongly resonate with the Islamic principles. The Islam emphasizes justice, human dignity, equality, and freedom of conscience. These are the same values which are reflected in Article 14, 21, and 25 of the Constitution. The Quran repeatedly commands justice and fairness. It upholds the sanctity of the human life and encourages peaceful coexistence. Chapter number 4, verse number 135. Chapter number 5, verse number 32. Chapter number 2, verse number 256 of the Quran. It explains the Islamic principle of the Constitution, which calls about the Shura, which is the consultation, also aligns with our democratic and parliamentary system. Another significant day, which we have been discussing about today, is the National Voters' Day, which is observed in the 25th of January. Every adult citizen has the right to vote, enabling the people to choose their representatives. While the legislature reflects the will of the people, an independent judiciary acts as the conscience. Along with the fundamental rights and the directive principles, the Constitution also lays down fundamental duties. Though non-enforceable, these duties form the building blocks of India that we as citizens have resolved to build through responsibility, harmony, and respect for the nation. It is therefore our duty, we the people of India, not only to understand and appreciate the Constitution, but also to protect its sanctity and practice its values in our daily lives. To understand this Constitution and the Voters' Day, The point of highlighting these 2 days over here today, along with everyone's points gathered here, it has become a point or a period where we need to highlight this. I remember Arokya ma'am saying that we did not have to wait for the people to vote. We did not have to wait for long. Whenever it is time, we started voting, and we also knew whom to vote. But nowadays, the students or the youth are moving away from this because of the corrupted or the rights mentioned on the papers are not being fulfilled. So the youth are being felt that they are cheated. So they are running away from this. So we need to encourage the youth. We definitely have to see that their vote, as ma'am said, yes, it is, I think, Arokya ma'am, she said that we need to vote the people to the right person, not because we are somebody's fan or somebody, or it is something else, or by someone's influence, but rather we vote the right person, keeping all these points in view. Like the human beings need to be treated as humans. Being humane is supposed to be discussed today. People being given their rights are to be discussed today. People being dealt with empathy has to be enforced today. And we have to struggle to bring in justice, which was one of the common norms in those days. How does this demoralize our children? I would say that your vote, what the man's statement really was very powerful. She says that your vote carries the struggle of the people before you. That is really a very true statement. The people before you have voted wisely. The people before you have felt the difference. They have dealt with the people directly, and so they have voted with courage. Now, when you vote, your vote is an honor. Your vote is a responsibility. Your vote is your right, which you need to vote, through which you can maintain the peace and harmony in the society. You are the torchbearers of the future. You need to bring in a change in the country. As Radhika ma'am said, I don't call myself a youth anymore. We all stand in the same platform. And I feel that the youth today should understand the importance of voting, bringing in the right person, and to bring in a proper established constitution, which has been mentioned. We do not have to make any changes, as it has already been given. All the rights are being given. The freedom of choice is given. The freedom of privacy is given. The freedom of religion is given. No compulsion in religion, no compulsion in anything. So then what is stopping the people from understanding the preamble and to implement it and also to stand for it? Do not be scared if your voice is suppressed, but rather raise your voice for the truth, and truth always succeeds. I would like to conclude the session with the slogan, सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा. जय हिंद. जज़ाकल्लाह खैर. अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाह.
Jazakallah khair, ma'am, for your inspiring and meaningful keynote address. We truly appreciate your valuable time and guidance. Now, I would like to present the vote of thanks. Respected speakers and dear participants, on behalf of the organizing team, I express my sincere gratitude to all our speakers for joining us online and enlightening us with their valuable insights. I extend my heartfelt thanks to Ms. Radhika Ganesh, Dr. Sultana, Ms. Arogya Anbargi, and Mrs. Rahila Noman for their inspiring and informative sessions. I would also like to thank Sister Amina Sabah for the beautiful recitation and Sister Afrida for the welcome address and introduction of our speakers. I sincerely thank the organizing team, volunteers, and all the participants for their cooperation and active presence in making this webinar a success. Lastly, I thank the I thank everyone who joined us virtually today and made this webinar meaningful and memorable. Before concluding, I request everyone to kindly join me in the concluding dua. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Jazakallah khair. Thank you all once again.